Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the MCI Medic Minute. This Medic Minute was made September 18th, 2019, and it was in response to the light rail accident August 23rd, train versus train in the north area at night. And we didn't really follow the MCI algorithm. I'm just kidding. This isn't the actual algorithm. This is the Surgeon General, and down here is Chief of Professional Services and Preventive Maintenance, and I'm just kidding. But anyway, when we do have an MCI, we're supposed to contact the disaster control facility, which in Sacramento County is UC Davis Medical Center. It's a big, beautiful hospital. They have two cool helicopter pads up here. They have a very nice turnaround to drop off patients. They have a cool ambulance bay over here, a nice big parking structure. So you probably think they've invested a lot of money into computers and comm centers and stuff like that. But the reality of it is when you call to declare an MCI, you are probably going to get one MICN on the radio or on the phone. We recommend using the phone to help you manage this MCI. If this happens to be a new nurse, a new MICN who's never done it before, and we have a brand new person on our end, it could go sideways. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But if you're the first ambulance on scene, one of the things you need to do is you need to declare an MCI, and per the county protocol, you need to declare whether it's a hazmat and requires decon, whether it's a trauma, which in this case was the train. If there's any critical traumas, they must be noted and identified. Or if it's a medical, which could be pepper spray, heat casualty, or a not so fun run like the California International Marathon. Say people are falling out because of heat exposure or cold exposure or whatnot. There is something that UC Davis has requested of us that's not in the county policy, which is what part of the county is going to be impacted. And that is the north, the central, or the south, because that's going to affect the polling and the distribution of patients to the various hospitals. Mercy San Juan will obviously be less impacted if it's a south area event, and same with Kaiser South if it's a north area event. So per county protocol 2525, there's an MCI radio report format where you give your name, your certification level, your agency, EMS unit number, and if you're transporting your ETA to the facility. You're supposed to declare the incident, what type, whether it's trauma, medical, or hazmat, and you're supposed to give an estimate of patients, okay? We understand it's going to get sporty, it's going to evolve, but just give them a heads up as a pre-alert. There are 5 things that UC Davis needs in order to start putting patient information into their computer to track all the patients. Just like there are certain critical stops on our PCRs, you can't export if you haven't done certain things. They can't add new patients until they get all 5 of these things from us to put in their computer program, which the county requires them to use. So the first thing is the yellow mandatory fields for UC Davis. This is a new form we've created for you guys to make it easy. First is patient status, age and gender, MCI number we'll talk about, and then the brief chief complaint. So age self-explanatory, gender self-explanatory, acuity should be pretty good too, but you need to identify if you have critical trauma patients or not. One critical trauma patient can be sent to each of the trauma hospitals immediately without requesting destination if you feel the need. But if you're far in the north area, you might not want to just start sending people to Kaiser South if you know that, hey, UC Davis can probably take 2. Don't drive past UC Davis to get to Kaiser South. That's way too much time on the freeway for someone who's only got their golden hour. The MCI tag number we're going to talk about in the next slide, and then they need a brief chief complaint, whether it's respiratory, leg fracture, neck pain, heat stroke, or multi-systems trauma. So triage tag numbers. Up in the upper right-hand corner on the front, it says tag number, and there's 4 digits. We can't use this. These 4 digits are the last 4 of the real number. The real number is called the transportation receipt. There's the number for this one, the number for their property, contamination, delayed, minor, immediate, morgue, whatnot. 1 letter, 7 to 10 numbers, that's the number UC Davis needs, not the 4 digits, okay? If you do transport a patient, you still need to follow the county protocol of a regular radio report, letting the hospital that you're going to know you're on your way and what the problem is. Because they'll only tell UC Davis we can take 2 immediates and 3 minors, and then they don't know who's coming. So if you're going to bring them one of those immediates, you need to call them and give them a proper radio report to let them know you're on your way. One of the things that we can do to make this go much, much smoother, which worked out really well on the light rail one halfway through the event, I would say, in the after action report, was a transportation plan. Law enforcement had taken some patients into the neighborhoods, trying to get them close to streets, thinking we would know exactly where those patients were, but we really didn't know. So we were able to set up a transportation plan of ingress and egress for the medics to get in and get out, and as soon as they were able to set that up, it ran much smoother. This is something that you guys need to think about early in the event to try and get people off the scene as fast as you can and not create a bottleneck. So the takeaway is be cool. Try and understand that this is going to evolve. It is a disaster. MCI is designed as something that you can fall back on when you are overwhelmed. It says you have more problems than you have resources. That's the definition in the policy. So if the person you're speaking to on the radio is having a problem, try not to exacerbate the problem. If you feel like you're overwhelmed or you're not qualified to take the position, ask for help. This policy was established when the highest medical authority were 2 paramedics on the ambulances and there were first responders on the engines. And those 2 first paramedics were the highest medical authority on scene. So they made the decisions. However, now we have our younger employees on the ambulance and our senior Jakes, engineers, and captains who many are paramedics or run the ICS system already, would have much better success communicating and tracking the patients. So if we can give UC Davis the 5 things that they need, it'll make it run a whole lot smoother. Have pens and use the forms we give you. If you get relieved, you need to be able to transfer that information to the person who's relieving you, whether it be EMS 22 or EMS 24. We've asked all the medics to place the new forms in the metal clipboards underneath the safe drawer or in the same compartment as the safe. That way everybody knows where to find this stuff. The PAL bags have all the MCI tags in them, and those should be in the bench. The metal clipboards should be underneath the safe, and there should be some pens in there. This is going to happen to us again. Hasn't happened in a long time on this scale. This is back in 1997. There were 9 big rigs and 28 passenger vehicles that were involved in an early morning pileup south of Sacramento on I-5. 4 people died, 26 people were injured, and you think if this happens again, either north by the airport because of the fog or south down by Consumnes, we will certainly all be playing. So what we're trying to do is give you guys the tools to be prepared to address this when it happens, okay? Last year, there was also a hazardous material refrigerant leak that happened at the medical building across the street from Station 4. That had the potential for 20 to 50 respiratory people. Maybe it was a hazmat they needed to be deconned. Anyway, we run a lot of hazmats, we run a lot of MCIs, and we're just trying to give you guys the tools that you need to be prepared for when the next one happens.